Hey Megan, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Eric? I'm so excited to be here today.
Thank you. So excited that you're here with me. And I was just for the listeners, I was just telling Megan how she's glowing on the screen. We're doing this virtually, as I guess the world works these days. And I said she's glowing on the screen, and she started talking about her bestie who does makeup. So shout out your bestie.
Oh my God. My bestie is Keith Bree. You can find him on Instagram at Key Bree Hair, and he is the makeup artist that I use on all my collaborations and everything on my page. So definitely
Amazing.
give him a look and a follow.
Shout out to Kibri right at the top of the episode too. Pretty cool. You're a hairdresser at Create Private Studio in Long Island. Long Island. Is that Long
Long
Island?
Island, New
Long
York.
Island,
Yeah.
New York.
Yes.
Did I
Really
sound
exaggerate
bad?
everything.
Really?
Honestly, I mean, it Long Island accents don't really sound good, so the fact that you sounded pretty bad is right on brand. Yeah.
Perfect. You're okay. Long Island, New York.
Oh my God, you had it perfect.
Really?
I love it.
So
Yes.
my dad is from New York. So I have, some bona fides from there.
I'm
So
into it.
I'm not a total fraud from
Little
California trying to
flavor.
yeah, not a total fraud. Okay. You focus on creative color, specifically reds and balayage. And
Correct.
I did my research on you, and you do beautiful stuff. I want everybody to go to Megan Masterson Hair on Instagram. By the way, your name is spelled Megan Masterson.
It is. It's like the most Irish way you can spell or technically pronounce that name. Yes.
Right.
But
It's
it is just Megan. Just putting it out there.
just Megan. Okay, so for the
Just
listener's
Megan.
sake, it's Meaghan. Meaghan Masterson on Instagram. The only reason I'm making fun of it is
No, it's ridiculous.
so people can find your handle. That's the only reason. Okay, so your work is
Yes.
amazing and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And that's all the kissing I'm gonna do. Now let's begin
I
with you
appreciate it.
just tell us where you're from and how you got into hair.
Like we said before, I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm born and raised here. And as far as me getting into the industry, it's not something I've always wanted to do. As far as like I was this little.
Megan,
Are you
stop.
good?
Sorry.
Oh my God, are you okay?
I think I might be dying
I,
mid episode.
oh my God, I brought death upon you. This is
Mid
awful.
episode.
Oh my
This
God.
this might be the highest rated Hair Game podcast episode in the 5-year history because Eric chokes and dies
Oh my
on
God.
air.
I could sell this to TMZ.
That's
Are
really
you
funny.
okay? Seriously.
Just don't tell Donovan, and you could stop the episode. You
Oh
could
yeah.
download it, and then you could sell it to TMZ. That's
I'm
actually
actually
brilliant.
recording it with my phone right now. So yeah. It's already
Okay.
sold actually.
All right. Well, Donovan, you can leave that in if you want.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, I just took a swig of water while listening to Megan's story and went down the wrong pipe. Okay, so now the listeners know how to find you on Instagram. Your work is beautiful. There's no doubt about it. You have a
Thank you.
nice combination of creative color that is actually a little bit subdued and elegant, if I can even use that word when dealing with
Ooh.
creative color. Phenomenal photography. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say.
Thank
That's all I'm going to
you.
say. We can get into your photography a little bit later, but why don't we start
Yes.
with where you're from and how you got into this business?
Okay. I am born and raised in Long Island, New York. And as far as me getting into the industry, I when I was young, I always had a knack for anything really creative. I wanted to be an artist when I was like super young. Then I wanted to be like a fashion designer, ridiculous. But then as I got a little bit older in my teen years, I just had a great knack for hair and makeup. It's something that I loved. But I mean, I did it on my friends. I grew up in the 2000s. Like I was putting twisties in hair with butterfly clips, nothing over the top. But what really changed my life was this girl, Alyssa. I was really good friends with her, and she was someone that I always played around with her hair and makeup. And we were 14 at the time, mind you. She had an older friend who was going to junior prom. She was very popular. I was kind of like a weird kid. And this girl, Heather, her hairstylist and makeup artist canceled on her the day before junior prom. So my friend Alyssa, who was good friends with this girl, offered me out willy-nilly without asking to do her hair and makeup.
Like an
And
agent.
yeah, and I was only 14. I started in the game young. So so I was like, I've never even touched a curling iron. Like I've only done twisties in people's hair and like little foofy buns, but nothing professional. So I felt really bad and I was totally suckered into it. But I did her hair and makeup. I mean, I look back on it and it was god awful, but in the moment, on brand. And I'll just never forget the feeling that when Heather, this girl, looked in the mirror and how happy she was and how grateful and beautiful she felt. And that's something that was like a driving force for me that stuck with me. And I was like I wouldn't say a bad kid, but I really struggled in high school. And then I found out that there was a BOCES program that I was able to go to throughout high school. And it just like saved my high school career.
What is
And I loved
BOCES?
it. It's like a trade school that you could go to in high school, and you kind of like go half day to your high school and then half to cosmetology school, and then you graduate your high school you graduate high school with your cosmetology license or ready
So
to at least
cool.
take the exam. And my mom told me about it because I like wouldn't stop talking about doing this girl's hair, and
Wow.
I just loved it so much. And after that, I really kind of dove into that. So you could only go when you're 16 and 17, so your junior and senior year. So this happened to me when I was a freshman. So I kind of like went into all of high school like I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And my guidance counselors actually, I'll never forget his name. Shout out, Mr. Woods. You're an asshole. he,
Because he said what?
hey, I keep freaking using this thing. So he actually had a conference with me and my mom and saying how going to BOCES is like a kind of a death wish as far as not going to college, and I'm not going to make any money. It's only for bad kids who don't want to go to school, and so on and so forth. And I remember just hysterically crying and being like, but this is my passion. I want to do this so bad. Like, I don't know why you're saying all of these things. He's like, but you're probably not going to go to college if you do this.
As if
And
college is the end all be all, right?
and there is nothing wrong with college, but I just was like, oh my God. And then I looked up, I stopped crying, I'll never forget it, and said, oh, wait, okay, I need to backtrack. So then as I'm crying, he's saying, well, if your tears could talk, what would they be saying?
What?
And I was like, I looked up, I stopped crying, and I said, did your college degree teach you to tell me that? Because that's ridiculous. Are you kidding me?
Very
So
funny.
I'm like, this is actually making me want to do this even more.
Right.
So, but my mom fought for me to do it, and I'm so grateful for that. And I was at the top of my class. I went to states, which is like a kind of competition within the community to do upstyling and cutting. And honestly, it was awesome. I worked in Salon since I was 15. I'm going to be 34 in like a month. And it's something that I'm just so blessed to be in this industry. And oh my God, the sound.
That's right.
The
That's
sound
for
of
you.
applause. I love it.
Yeah, they love you. They love you, Megan
I'm sending the
Masterson.
princess
Yes.
to you.
Yep.
But yeah, so after that, I graduated high school and I fully was on track to being a successful stylist. Like that was my mission, and I'm very fortunate that I can say I did that.
And it's unique that somebody finds their passion so young. And a lot of people in this industry do. Not everybody, of course. I've been doing
No,
this podcast for 5 years now, and or more. Geez, wow, how many years have I been doing it? Almost 6.
it's
Um,
awesome.
and a lot of people, of course, found their passion very early. And I wonder how many careers are like that, where people find their passion so early. I don't think many. And I think it's really
Seriously.
great. I think it's really great. And it's not surprising at all that your guidance counselor was maybe pushing you, and not just you, but everybody, in the school to go to college. I wouldn't be surprised if his, I don't know, like bonus was attached to how many kids went
Oh,
to college,
100%.
right? Because that's something
I
that people look at when they look at high school.
I did actually, I'm sorry to cut you off. I
No.
did actually find out that the school lost funding to the high school I went to and put it towards the BOCES program. So they
Mm,
did kind of deter kids to not go there. But I also
got
don't
it.
think that was also the driving force for him. But it definitely, things were said and it was a little traumatic, but
Mm,
I'm glad I stuck with it and I turned out just fine.
amazing. Turned out great. So you get out of high
Thank you.
school, and
Yes.
what happened? You went for your exam.
I I went for my exam. I shockingly passed because I'm a horrible test taker. And I
But
ended
you
up
were good.
working
Hold
at,
on, you were good at BOCES. You were good at your cosmetology
yes,
classes, right?
I was, but like the written exams are ridiculous. It's like, what kind of infection does your cuticle get in your nails? Like, I don't know that.
The gross kind. Like,
Yeah, the
yeah.
the practical portion totally slayed, but I did kind of wash hair in salons when I was very young. I started when I was 15, and then I got a job at a very popular salon in my area, and I worked there for actually 13 years. And I started as an assistant. I was very, very motivated to be really good at what I did and to be very busy and simply just to do cool shit. I was like so passionate about the art behind doing hair that I was doing everything in my power to do so. And I faked it till I maked it. Like, literally, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could give you this cut. Oh, yeah. Highlights? Sure. What are highlights? I don't know, but I'm doing it. Like, I just, I was so unafraid to try things. But I mean, meanwhile, I was dying inside. But it actually worked to my advantage because I was so willing to just try new things that it really, of course, I always have this fear, but it did make me the stylist I am today, as far as
Hmm.
being willing to do new things
Yeah, I mean that's
and
how you
trying.
learn. That's how you learn.
Yeah.
Make mistakes. I mean
I ended
that
up,
that's why at the end of every episode we have the hair horror story, and we'll get there. We're not
oh
there
my God.
yet, but I'm going to ask you what your hair horror story
I'm
is, and
stoked.
you probably have plenty
Oh
because you're a
God.
creative colorist, and of course
Of
there's a lot that can
course.
go wrong there.
Oh
Okay,
my God. I actually do have something in mind. It
okay,
was
but don't tell
traumatic.
us yet. Don't tell us yet.
No,
We
no.
have to build up the suspense. Okay, so
Yeah.
you had the right frame of mind,
Yeah.
and you started early. You were focused and passionate. You were in the same salon for 13 years,
Yes.
and I assume that you already said that you started doing shampoos, and that you probably
Hmm.
had a great number of years on the floor where you built up your clients and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Why did you leave?
Well, I it was rough towards the end. I was in a pretty toxic environment, and the motto kind of was the whole time, which obviously as I grew, I kind of was more aware. It was kind of being beat down till you do, so you could do good. But in reality, it's just a very toxic mentality, and we were all in competition with each other. And it was just what I was used to, and I'm very loyal. And I finally was in such a, like, I just became so, I was going to work, and I like never felt like that. So then I knew I needed to make a change. And one of my best friends, Lisa, you can find her on Instagram at Lisa underscore created to create. And we've been working together for so long. I was there 13 years. She was there 12 years. And she always said she'd open a salon. And I always said I'd go with her. And I said, Lisa, like, if I'm losing my passion by the day, and I have to get out of here. So if you're not going to make a move, I'm just going to find somewhere else to work. Like, I was looking in the city. I was looking all over, and literally the next week she was like, "Hey, I found a studio in Hauppauge, New York. Come down and check it out." I was like, "Yes." So then two other girls and Lisa ended up going to a private studio in Hauppauge, and we've been there since 2020. We opened
Oh, wow.
in,
COVID.
I mean, like I just said, we did all of these things, you know, for so many years behind the chair at this one salon, and then we finally make the big leap January 2020. 7 weeks later, wah wah, it was
Wah,
shut
wah.
down for
Yeah,
3 months, and New York was very strict. So
they were.
it was a rough go, but we survived for sure.
I
But
think you
yeah,
guys were
so I've been
only
working there.
slightly you guys were only slightly worse than we were in California.
Oh
But
yes,
I know that it
100%.
was I know that it was bad for you guys. I think wasn't New York City worse
Yes,
than the other parts of New York? Yeah.
correct.
And
Definitely was very bad.
Hauppauge is on Long Island, yeah?
Hmm.
And by the way, I've never
Yes.
actually known that it was pronounced Hauppauge. I've seen it on the map, and I'm like, what
Well,
the
it
hell
is.
kind of name? You know, I think
Honestly, it's okay.
it's an Indian name, or like maybe
Yes, it
a
is.
native name.
Yes.
So
Native American,
Native
indigenous
American name,
people.
that's right. And
Yes.
but I've never known that it was pronounced Hauppauge, which I
The
don't know.
more you know.
No, we're all informed now. So okay, all right.
I mean, yeah.
So you guys move a couple months
Yeah.
before COVID,
Hmm.
which just sucks, and then, of course the whole time sucked for
Sucks.
everybody. And did the salon charge you rent during that period?
No, they
how
were
okay,
wonderful, actually.
good,
They kind of ate the rent for 3 months,
yeah,
and super super grateful. They gave us a ton of stuff to keep the place clean as well, air filters. They were truly wonderful within the
good,
process.
good. We were shut down for like 11 months or something like that. 10 months
Oh my
total,
god.
3 closures. Okay, but anyway, we're not going to go there.
Oh yeah, screw that.
So
Yes.
3 months, and you were able to open back up, and that was it. You're open.
We're open. It was very limited space. And this kind of gets into where I am today. As far as the work that I'm creating, when we opened January 2020, I was on fire. Like, I felt so inspired, and my flame was reignited,
Yeah.
and I was just so excited to do hair again. And then obviously we shut down, and that kind of put my flame out, and the limitations and so on and so forth. And I also got hired actually to be an educator for a very big coloring company, and right as COVID struck as well. And I was so excited about all these things, and then it was kind of just taken away from me,
Ah,
and which sucked. And
yeah.
when we were back behind the chair, I was kind of back in that slump, and even like educating, I felt this struggle as feeling so uninspired. How can I inspire others? You know what I'm saying? And it took me
Mm-hmm.
kind of a while to get out of that rut. And I even left the company because I was just feeling so down on myself.
Hmm.
And I really had imposter syndrome in
Yep.
my head and a lot of corporate mumbo jumbo too, which was kind of annoying.
Mm.
But then I took a class with Be Seen,
Mm-hmm.
Lynn. He came to our studio and hosted a really intimate class. And I started talking with him, and he suggested taking a shadowing program with him and Maggie MH.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I don't even know. Here's my money. I'm booking everything. I'm in. Like, I need something to like reignite a fire under my ass.
Mm-hmm.
And it like actually changed my life. I
Wow.
don't want to blow too much smoke up their ass, but even though they deserve it, and the way they kind of broke down just what I needed to do in order to get myself out of it was tremendous. Like, even just all, because I always kind of really had a passion for creative color, especially as social media really rise,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these amazing tones and different placements and saturations. And when I was really growing up, it was like the railroad track highlights and
Yep.
no toners and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing balayage, and then once creative color, I just kind of dove right into it. And then when I was creating these colors, I kind of felt they were forced, the
Okay.
patterns, and I just wasn't in love with my work.
Okay.
And then when Lynn was talking, he was like, "Well, if you're uninspired by your work, then how can you inspire others when you don't feel inspired? You have to find what inspires you and then run with it and just put like the art back into
Mm-hmm.
what you do, because it's very obvious that like that's something you love." And I just feel like awakened, and that went into my photography.
Wow.
And I found my passion for social media and creating high quality imagery. It's something that just has changed my artistry completely.
Wow. Well, okay. So with Lynn and Maggie, did you go to their studio in DC?
I did.
Cool.
No, not in DC. They have a fan house in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And how long did you spend there?
I spent a day, and then we did like kind of like a hour or two meeting the next day where we kind of just broke down business and social media and photography and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It was great.
And so that reignited the flame under your tushy
Yes.
about your work, and
Yeah.
it probably did a lot for your social media presence and got you excited to
Big time.
post again, because there's just so many people who might have been might have had the incentive and the excitement to be active on
Yeah.
Instagram, who then of course weren't, and that's extremely understandable, because it takes so much time and all that. Your
It's a
work
lot. Yeah.
it is a lot. So what did he tell you about photography that helped you get so good? And as I mentioned this at the top of the episode to the listeners, that you have great photography.
Thank you.
And I want everybody to go to unless you're driving, listeners, go to Megan's Instagram and see her photos. They're just amazing. So,
Thank
tell us
you.
some of those secrets that helped you.
Well, first things first, not everyone needs this, but I personally love it. I got a extremely professional Sony camera, and actually Lynn helped me on how to figure out how to use it because that was very difficult. But
How much did
once I
that
kind of,
cost?
it was around $4,500.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yes. But honestly, it was an investment in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say I was desperate, but I
Mm-hmm.
was, to just find what shook me to my core, as far as
Mm-hmm.
getting me stoked.
Sure.
And it is something I really wanted to lean into, because as far as social media, like, you are in such a huge pond. And if you want to inspire others and have like scroll stopping, posts or content, like, you have to bring the heat. So you'd really need all those tools to really do so, I personally feel.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to edit a photo, that was another thing that they went over. And not only that, but the consistency. It's something that I was like, you know what? I think I want to go this route. I want to be, start to connect with brands and create imagery for them, and just really kind of going into me making money, and also creating imagery that inspires others. When
Mm-hmm.
I was in such a low place, I was like, I want to, now that I found my voice, I was like, I want to inspire others when they're feeling down, and help them
Mm-hmm.
create art as well. And that comes into consistently posting and making it a job within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency is really key.
Totally. So, how much time would you say per week you put into the photography, the editing, and the posting?
Yeah. It depends. I actually set kind of a team up, which has been so much fun to work with, as far as doing these content creating shoots. And I find a model, I get my best friend who's a makeup artist, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I collaborate with other artists who
Okay.
are strong in things that I'm not. So we could kind of all really create a cohesive story.
Yeah.
And per week, it depends. It varies, because I do try to rely on some of my clients that have really say something hair for content as well. So it depends. If I'm with a client, that counts as some hours as well. But as far as the wig shoots and stuff, that can take a few days occasionally. I tend to prep the wigs while I'm in between clients. Then I go in the studio when it's just me, and I just kind of jam out. And that takes around 3 to 4 hours, depending on what I'm doing. And then the next day, we actually shoot the wig. So,
Mm-hmm.
because it's too much to do all in one day. So
Yeah.
I would say maybe 8 hours
Yeah. Now
at
I
least.
see
But
why your content's so good. I mean, you're like full on. That's
yes.
full. Yeah. You're full send, as the young kids say these days.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I
full
like that
send.
though. Full
That's like,
send.
oh yeah, it comes from, I think it comes from like the extreme sports thing,
Fair.
culture.
Yeah.
And, before the guy on the bike is going to do the jump,
Yeah.
his friends are all trying to amp him up. And they're like, full send. And then the
Oh,
guy goes down and like jumps, 80 feet in
oh
the
yeah.
air. That's that kind of a thing.
I love the dude bro voice
You like
too.
that? Oh, yeah.
Full
I got that.
send,
Full
man. Yeah.
send, bro.
Love it.
West
It's
Coast.
awesome.
West Coast. I should do like hand signals, but I didn't,
Oh my
just because I didn't want to be caught as a fraud by doing the
Oh my
wrong
God, I
West Coast
love
hand
it.
signals. Yeah. You
Fair.
mentioned imposter syndrome, that I would worry
Yes.
about that, but I'm now toying with it. These, we're
I'm
actually
obsessed.
recording the video now. We used to not, but now we're recording the video. So all the people listening, driving down the street, are like, "Shit, I wish I could see Eric trying to do West Coast hand signals, hand signs, and see how bad he is at it."
You're doing a lot. You
Well,
choked,
my
you died, you came back to life, and now you're doing hand signals. A lot has transpired in 38 minutes. Claps for you.
yeah, claps for
Doing the
me.
most.
Yeah. See,
I love it.
every episode for me, full send.
Full
See,
send.
full send.
Full
That's how
send.
you do it.
You
That's how
left
you do it.
no crumbs.
I
Yes. You're feeding the children.
I left it all on the table. When I get home tonight, I'm gonna be like, kids, I left it all on the table today. They're gonna be like,
Yes, you
what do
left
you
no
mean?
crumbs.
What's on the table, Dad? Well, why are you talking like that? Stop being weird. And then they'll walk away.
So funny.
Okay,
I love it.
so you like full send with the
Full send.
with the Instagram content. Do you also
Hmm.
do TikTok?
I wish I could say I did, and I should utilize it more than I do. But I'm someone who like I have to do one thing and then like perfect it and be really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel like I've been pretty good with Instagram, so I'm just kind of like leaning into that even though I
Mm-hmm.
probably would have decent engagement on TikTok. I'm just like also feeling my age as well, even though that shouldn't stop me.
Yeah,
But
well, you're
there's
much
always room
younger
for
than I am.
improvement, Eric.
There definitely is always room for, and
Yes.
TikTok is of course a video platform, so
Yes.
there's that, and
I
so
Yes, it
yeah.
definitely is. And I actually, shockingly enough, get like a ton more engagement than on photos than I do reels typically, which is very
I
few and
noticed
far
that.
between
I
in
noticed that.
on Instagram. So it's
Yeah.
definitely photography is something I'm very passionate about, and I love fashion and runways, and I used to work fashion week for quite a few seasons and do editorial stuff. So not that I do editorial styling as much really anymore, but I love putting a story in a vision board and executing it and putting it into something tangible,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
photography
yeah,
and
and
looks.
and it absolutely shows. And are you getting opportunities from brands? Are you
I
currently
am
working with
actually, I'm
anyone?
very fortunate. Yes, I have a few brands actually that I have been getting paid with content, which has been awesome because
Yeah.
it took a while
Hmm.
because you have to really kind of build your presence on Instagram. But then I really got a few opportunities with certain brands, and it's been really awesome to be able to get paid to do something that I absolutely love besides just being behind the chair.
Totally. So who are you working with?
I have worked with Design Me before and Defiba as well. It's an Italian based brand. They have shampoos and conditioners and color depositing masks that are amazing for creative color. It's called You and Me Color Depositing Mask Conditioner.
Oh.
And they have different lighteners and stuff like that. It's been great.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm wearing a color depositing conditioner right now. If you can see through the screen,
It looks good.
it's blue. That's what I do.
It looks a little gray. It's reading gray from here,
It's
but I'm here for
it's
it.
so what I like to do is I like to mix the color depositing things, whether they're shampoos or conditioners. And I'm testing out stuff that we sell at Salon Republic, and we sell a good number of them. So it's the blue gray Caracolor, I believe, is the brand. And then I've got Celeb Lux, and I
Okay.
mix that.
Those are great too.
Yeah, I mix that conditioner mask with the shampoo with the Celeb Lux blue, like bright blue shampoo. So it's a little brighter than the blue gray is, but there's definitely some gray in there, and you're obviously a professional, and you notice that immediately.
Yeah,
And so yeah, that's what I do too. I play with it. I toy with it.
I love it. But that's
Yeah,
the whole fun of it. You could leave it on for a few minutes, you could leave it on for a half hour and get different results and do something new in a few weeks.
totally, totally. So what are you digging in terms of style, color, creatively right now?
Right now, I'm genuinely obsessed with my roots from the 2000s. I love chunky placements, and color blocking is
Hmm.
something that I'm just obsessed with, and very contrasting tones and opposite tones as well. So, like the one look that really kind of skyrocketed my Instagram was it was inspired by a beach sunset me and my husband saw, and it had an opposite palette of blue, teals, and orange and peach. So,
Wow.
and in a very chunky way. And that kind of, I use that as my driving force because I love color blocking. I love playing with different tones and seeing how they work together, and especially opposite ones. I love it.
That's amazing.
I love
That's
this
it.
sound
That's
effects.
it. Sorry, there was a little bit of an awkward pause there as I was trying to cue it
I'm
up.
obsessed with it.
See,
I react every time. Yes.
I'm not 100% on it yet, but I'll get there.
It's okay.
Okay, what is the most difficult conversation that you've ever had with a client in the chair?
Oh God. Um, as far as about their hair or about life
Anything.
things?
Life things, hair things.
Okay, I actually have a good one. So there was this one client, I was doing her and her boyfriend's hair, and this was just awful. So the female client kind of told me that she was fully having another relationship with somebody else, obviously other than her boyfriend. And the boyfriend actually kind of was like questioning it when I was cutting his hair, and I didn't tell him, but that was a very difficult conversation to have every 4 weeks of trying to bypass that information and kind of hold that in and not ruin my client relationship. So
Right.
it wasn't a physical conversation of like a really hard thing, but it was a very hard conversation to have with this person and not indulge in the truth.
Wow.
So that was tough.
Very uncomfortable for you to be in that
horrible.
position where she gave you
Horrible.
kind
And
of private information, but you know her boyfriend, and then
yeah, I like knew him well. I saw him every 3 weeks.
yeah, and
It's tough.
and when you said that he was kind of talking about it, he was saying that he wasn't sure if his relationship was very good with his girlfriend.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know, things are rocky. I'm not sure what's
Ugh.
happening with her. I don't know. I feel like she's very distant. I don't know if she's seeing somebody else. I'm like, what?
Ugh. Ugh. All right. Well, that was a great answer.
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah. Jeez. If you could wave a wand,
Yes.
you are Queen Mieghan of the hair
Mieghan.
industry,
That is
and
me.
that's you. And here's your wand. You could change anything about the industry at all right now. What would it be?
So the thing that I would probably change about the industry the most is unrealistic expectations, whether it be from a client or from a fellow stylist. People are putting out work that they're proud of and that they work so hard on, and is anyone to comment on it or say like, oh well, this isn't what it actually looks like, and critiquing and I don't know, being able to like execute this work and then being frustrated at the person who originally created this work. And I just feel
Yeah.
like it's not a competition. Be realistic. And
Yeah.
like even for me, I get some comments of like, oh, this is a wig and this isn't realistic on a client. Like, yeah, I'm not making it for
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm like? That
Yeah.
is one part. I want you to use this as like inspiration for colors that you create, sure. But should you duplicate this on a human being?
No,
If you
I know.
want, sure. But it's probably not going to come out exactly like that because it is on a wig.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just
People
something
write
like that.
stupid shit in the
Yeah.
comments, all the time, and it's highly annoying.
Yes.
And that's just the reality of the social situation. But yeah, I couldn't agree with you
100%.
more. Do you have any hair horror stories?
Horror stories? Yes, I do. Of course I do.
You said
I
you had one.
I did. I have a few, but this particular one was pretty traumatizing. She came in for a consultation, wanted this like really fiery kind of color palette. This was many years ago, and she had all this banding, and I'm always very transparent behind the chair. I'm like, hey, this probably might not happen in this time, but it could be X, Y, or Z, and whatever. So I saw her hair was kind of wonky, but I was willing to kind of give it a go. And she comes back for her appointment. She very visibly bleached her hair herself. So she has all these like insane bands of yellow, red, black on her hair. And I was like, okay, this maybe isn't going to work, but she still wanted to keep the same palette. She wanted like a black root and all these fire yellows, orange, reds on her ends. So I bleached her hair. It came out fairly even, shockingly enough. And then I went to do her creative color. I put the black on, put, the rest of the kind of flame palette on her ends. And I didn't like pick up her ends while I was rinsing. And everything kind of just turned this muddy, disgusting color after I worked for maybe this was my 6th hour doing it.
Jeez.
And it just negated like every single thing that I did into that hair. So it was almost black when I rinsed it out.
Oh my
And her
God.
hair was so porous and it was a nightmare. I actually went in the back. I like cried for maybe like 5 to 6 minutes. And then I kind of got back on the horse and I was like, hey, your hair took really weird. Something happened. And we did purple. She never came back to me again, but I definitely don't blame her.
We did purple. We went purple today.
I was like, well, the way your hair took, we could only really do purple. Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah,
Didn't you say you wanted purple?
Yeah, it was awful, but
Oh my God,
I
it's
ate
funny,
it.
not funny.
It was awful. It was very traumatizing. And I'm someone like, if something like that happens, like I can't sleep for maybe like 2 nights. Like it eats at me. That's how much I care, honestly.
Sure. Totally.
Very toxic.
Any last words for the community?
I would like to say just like, if you're feeling in a rut and feeling uninspired, like take classes, connect with other artists, look for inspiration in things besides just hair. Like I get inspired by nature. I love to hike. Like I like to do outdoorsy things. I love to see sunsets on the beach and look at magazines too. Like there's just so many things that you have at your fingertips that aren't just hair that you can be inspired by. And sometimes just changing the way you see things, it will actually affect your work and make it better and just open your eyes a little bit. And maybe you'll create something that you never thought you would. And just stay inspired. Try to, at least.
Wise words, Megan Masterson Hair. Thank you so much for coming on here. You're Megan Masterson Hair. Again, Meaghan Masterson Hair. And by the way, there is a benefit to having your name spelled that way in the traditional Gaelic. Yes. The benefit is that once you go to Instagram and you type in Meagha, all of a sudden, the only one who pops up is you.
I'm glad I stomped that portion of the community on Instagram.
Zero competition.
There's no room for anyone else with Meagha.
That's right. If your name was spelled Meg, normal Megan,
I would be lost.
You're lost. You're there with the other millions. Yeah. But here you are only one.
Robin and John.
Thanks, Robin and John.
The most letters coming out of the womb, extra as hell. Still am today. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. It was great meeting you.
Oh, it was lovely to be here. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm honored to be on the Hair Game podcast. I so appreciate.
And hopefully I see you at a hair show soon.
Are you going to the Behind the Chair show? The one
I
shot?
don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Please, I would love
We'll
to
see.
meet you.
I would love to meet you too in person. I will let you know.
Oh, please do.
All right. Thanks, Megan.
Have a good night. Thank you
You
again.
too. Bye-bye.